Hello, how is it going? I hope you're doing well. And there has been a lot of new news, especially in terms of Ubisoft, because after the fallout of the Prince of Persia cancellation, a lot of employees are really upset. They've also delayed a lot of games and canceled a lot of other unannounced games. And right now, it's looking like another downturn happened. I don't know how that could happen after literally having another horrible year last year and the year prior. It's not looking really good. Some people are even calling for the dismissal of the CEO and calling him senile, comparing him to Donald Trump, which is crazy. And so we're just going to get into it at all of it. But specifically, we're going to start off with the Prince of Persia cancellation and why maybe it was for the best that it got canceled. Because I think Ubisoft just has this inability to just respect the franchise and what it means for a remake to be a remake, right? Like, I played Resident Evil 4, the original, back when it came out, and it was quite fantastic. It was pretty good. It was one of the best games of the 2000s. And then when Capcom remade it, they made Leon look exactly as he did. Basically, he had the same floppy hair, practically the same face, the same clothes. This looked genuine to me like a remake. It was basically the same character model, not the same voice actor, but they made him look exactly as he did. Now, I actually did get a bit of a, fine tuning for modern audiences. I don't really agree with that. There were some creepy moments though. Like, I never liked the fact that you can look up a girl's dress and get rewarded for it. Not really a fan of that. But they at least made Ashley look like Ashley. And for the Prince of Persia remake, guess what Ubisoft did? Yep, that is right. They gave him an entirely new look. Now, honestly, on its own, if this was like a new IP in India or Persia, I wouldn't be upset. But looking at this is just insulting. I want a remake to look like a remake. I want to feel those same nostalgic feelings as it did when I first played it. And just looking at this guy, not that he's a bad looking guy or anything, this is not it. This is wrong. All right. The clothes are just kind of like boring to look at. There's not as much jewelry on his chest. There's some like weird things on his pants that look a little different. This does not look really like the one I played. Now, Farah, on the other hand, actually, I do like Farah in this new game. I actually think it's a cooler outfit. I like how the bow is her size. I don't mind how she looks because, Farah can change it a little bit for me personally. I also would have preferred if Farah did look exactly as she did in the remake, but I don't mind this. Now, there's kind of like, now here's the second image of how the prince looks, and again, I don't know why they just don't make him look like he did in the original. This just does a huge disservice, right? Like, first of all, you don't get Yuri Lowenthal. Already a pretty big mistake, right? Like, Yuri Lowenthal is still in the industry. He's still popular. He voices freaking Spider-Man, and he would have been an easy choice to make. Now, I do get that representation is important, and maybe you shouldn't have white people voicing like Indian or brown people, but like, it was a different time back then, and he did it. And you know what? He did a great job. In fact, he did such a good job that the Indian team in Pune chose him. And they all had the same opinion that, yes, hearing his voice was super nostalgic. Yeah, he's white, but you know what? So what? It's a remake, right? We're not going to do the Prince of Persia 2008 thing where I have a new guy voice, or another white guy voice a prince. No. Like, this is a remake. We should respect the original. Right? Even Prince of Persia Lost Crown, they were all Middle Eastern actors who voiced the characters, which was good. And honestly, it was great. All the voices in that game were fantastic. It was actually one of the good instances of Ubisoft having decent voice acting, because their voice acting has been pretty lackluster, especially, don't get me started, on Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, there is a Prince of Persia petition going around. It currently has 2,000 signatures. I signed it. I recommend you sign it. Petitions don't really do anything, but with enough complaining and enough talking about how this remake should get restarted and be actually finished, it can actually maybe get Ubisoft to actually do something about it. Let me go through the petition. It's a landmark for Ubisoft and the video game industry. We know that the development of Remake faced real problems, criticism, delays, a complete restart of the project, and internal changes at Ubisoft. Still, years of work, creative investment, and developer dedication cannot simply end in silence. This petition has a clear and direct request. We want Ubisoft to resume their project, finalize development, and release Prince of Persia: Sands of Time Remake. We recognize that this decision is not simple. We recognize the financial, technical, and strategic challenges, but we also believe that historic franchises should not be abandoned when there is still demand, passion, and cultural value. If this business is successful, use this number as a reason to return the project. Signing is clearly saying Prince of Persia deserves to return, Sands of Time Remake deserves to be released. And yeah, I recommend signing it. Now, as you'd expect, Ubisoft employees are not having the best of time. So if you didn't know, during the whole restructuring phase, it was just more than just a Prince of Persia cancellation. A lot of games were delayed, some layoffs happened, and mostly, importantly, a return to office 5 days a week with annual allowances. Now, personally, I'm not in the games industry. I'm not sure if return to office actually makes games more efficient or better, or if it's just, pointless. Most of the time, return to office are kind of like a soft layoff, essentially like, oh, you have to come 5 days a week, and if you don't like it, well, you can take a hike and go look for a different job. That's usually where return to office mandates usually happen. But whether they're actually more productive or not, that's super debatable. So yeah, that's most likely what it is. Also, Ubisoft employees are calling for a general strike, and now it is kind of insane. A lot of employees are essentially kind of like looking for work outside, which I fully support. I don't think Ubisoft currently, the management side, is capable of having any successful game, making all the wrong decisions, and I think they're just kind of like just doubling down on the things that they're already known for, specifically Assassin's Creed and Far Cry and Rainbow Six. I actually don't know any Rainbow Six fans. I guess it has its own niche audience, but hey, make some money, whatever, I don't care. A half-day strike has already begun among Ubisoft Paris employees. And Paris employees, what do you think, from France are always super ready to revolt. Okay. Key Ubisoft employees are calling for a strike in response to the wave of game cancellations and an email asking employees to work 100% on-site. Some are calling for Yves Guillemot to resign, saying he is senile, comparing him to Donald Trump. If I had him in front of me, I would want to punch him in the face. He's senile, like Donald Trump. He's losing his mind and needs to be removed from the company's management. He's ruining everything and screwing up the company. That's a little strong, personally. I think that's kind of insane to punch your boss in the face. Like, come on, like, relax. But I do agree he's making all the wrong decisions. A half-day strike has already begun among Ubisoft Paris employees. I can't write, so it wasn't in English, it was all in French. And, well, I kind of believe it, though, because the French are known for revolting just a little bit. There's actually kind of a whole game around it. It's called Assassin's Creed Unity, a game that Ubisoft also kind of crashed and burned on that one because, they just wanted to make money and release it early. But anyway, we're not talking about that. And as a result of the strike, there is a massive brain drain and talent drain happening at Ubisoft, right? Like if you're an employee and you're like on a risk of getting laid off, yeah, of course you're going to go on LinkedIn and be like, hey guys, I'm looking for work. You're going to technically work at Ubisoft, but it's not a really stable job. So yeah, there's a lot of big brain drain at Ubisoft happening right now. Maybe this is all part of a sinister plot to just essentially have that do a soft layoff. Like if they leave, we don't have to pay them severance. It's kind of a big deal because severance only happens if you get laid off, but you don't have to pay severance if you just quit. So yeah, that also might be another reason. Another Prince of Persia product that was affected was Black Flag. Now, if you didn't know, Black Flag Remake was supposed to happen around right before April, would have probably released in March. And one of the big pieces of news in that game was that it would have been a digital-only release. Oh my god, it's like Ubisoft just wants to keep making bad decisions after bad decisions. Why? Why would a remake have a digital-only release? Like, that just doesn't make sense. Now, thankfully, it was delayed. And maybe it's for the best because digital-only release at a time when Ubisoft is saying gamers should get used to not owning games would have been horrible. Absolutely horrible. I honestly feel like maybe it was for the best that it got delayed. So, according to Tom Henderson, the game was the Black Flag Remake, which is the name of the thing, was to reach gold status in the first week of February and to release digital-only in March 19th. Now, this is probably for the so, and also another reason for the delay was potentially for the release of GTA 5. Now, if you did not know, GTA 5 released in September 17th, 2013. And that was 12 years ago, quite a long time ago. And Black Flag also released in 2013, actually a month after GTA 5. And surprisingly, that 1 month difference was actually good enough for Ubisoft. They actually didn't lose any sales on Black Flag. In fact, it ended up selling quite well, even though GTA 5 had a whole month. And yeah, I know GTA 5 was pretty big. GTA 6 is going to be even bigger. A lot of people are going to first buy the first gen console just for this generation, just alone for that game, right? Because the only way to play GTA 6 is to buy a PlayStation or an Xbox. Most people just buy a PlayStation anyway. And for all of them, that'll be their first game. And obviously, when you buy one console, you're like, yeah, let me check out some new games and try something else. And Black Flag wants to be right there when it comes out. I think this is actually a pretty good decision as a result, because kind of the same thing happened with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where people all bought PS5s, the new PS5 in 2020, and then they were like, oh, I got no games, what should I play? Oh, Assassin's Creed Valhalla's right there, might as well buy it. And as a result, Valhalla also was able to have like crazy revenues and making $1 billion. So I think this is actually good that a game got delayed. I think delays are always positive because ultimately the game will be better. So, but you know what? Black Flag Resynced was already going to make millions of dollars. It's the easiest game. I think it's literally Ubisoft's highest selling game, especially at least in the Assassin's Creed franchise. So this game was already going to be a slam dunk. They could have released it on January 1st and it would have sold quite well. All right, so another big Ubisoft franchise that was once pretty big and once pretty exciting was Watch Dogs. And unfortunately, after the unsuccessful release of Legions, where it had some pretty cool concepts but didn't really live up to it, Ubisoft has now says that the Watch Dogs franchise is completely dead. If you noticed during the Creative House announcement where they were announcing all the creative houses, somehow Prince of Persia was in there. All of them had, all the big Ubisoft brands had one. Like there was one for Assassin's Creed, one for Far Cry, one for Splinter Cell, and yada 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 yada. Watch Dogs was not there, and do you know why? It's because Ubisoft doesn't care. They're not releasing any more Watch Dogs games. To them, it's completely dead, which is so baffling because Ubisoft is like, all they're known for is open world games. All they release are open world games. There is not a single GTA clone, which is probably the closest thing to Watch Dogs anyway, and they easily could have like had that market. Like maybe like because with how Rockstar releases games essentially once a decade, and GTA games would be like once every 2 decades, they easily could have had a good GTA competitor. Now I know GTA competitors tend to get like clowned on, like Saints Row is no longer around. There was one that came out last year which was horrible, Mind's Eye. Oh my god, apparently it was even so bad. It's just bugs up the wazoo. They easily could have used Watch Dogs as a valid GTA competitor. Also had a lot of cool concepts with hacking, using your phone to like play around with traffic lights, and just it was really cool concept that would kind of fit the modern day aspect of today. I know GTA wouldn't have had that angle. GTA was just essentially the same gameplay loop. Watch Dogs actually genuinely had some cool concepts. They could have even like set it in the future, so maybe they can even get even crazier with all the hacking. And honestly, with how like with how government's basically spying on us, like honestly, this is a pretty realistic version of how like surveillance goes around this day and age. So yeah, it's really upsetting that's happening. There is going to be a Watch Dogs movie happening, so I don't think it's completely dead. I think they're just waiting to see maybe what the movie numbers are, then maybe they'll eventually do a game. So I don't think it's completely gone. However, there's just no game at all for Watch Dogs. So yeah. There is. I think I'll post maybe one more video about this. Tom Henderson has said like reach out to him if you're a Prince of Persia developer working on the game and what it was like. So if that gets released, I will certainly do a video about it. Other than that, thanks for watching. I think maybe this channel will do maybe something else about Prince of Persia, another kind of gaming content. I think maybe turn to Assassin's Creed because I am a fan of that. So yeah, thanks.